Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today we're going to dive into the music industry and one woman's journey from Florida to the Midwest, Columbus, Ohio. But her story goes a little bit deeper. How do you create a brand for yourself when you also have a hearing impediment? I think I said the word correctly.
Yes.
Today on the show, all the way from Columbus, Ohio, we have a young lady who's definitely has done remarkable things for her career, the music industry, basically branding herself totally beautifully, and has also made herself a valuable asset to other bands, which allowed her to have her own band. I'm gonna let her tell her story. Welcome to the show, Tracy Roese. How you doing, Tracy?
Good. How are you?
So nice to be here. Good.
Okay.
Definitely exciting to be here hanging out with you for
Three hour drive.
Yes.
I used to live in Columbus.
Worth it.
Yeah, I used to live in Columbus. I like Columbus. What part of Columbus are you in? You in Dublin?
I'm downtown.
Gahanna?
I'm like right in the
Right
heat
downtown?
of it. Yeah,
Okay.
right by Children's Hospital, actually. So
Okay.
it's right downtown. But
Looked over your bio,
right.
a lot of accomplishments. But before we get to that, who exactly is Tracy Roese? Give us a little feedback on who you are.
Oh, well, I'm basically, I consider myself the black sheep of my family. I even sing a song in my show called Black Sheep. I'm the weird one. I'm the one everybody always kind of stayed away from because I was always very weird.
What do you consider weird? What is weird?
Just like when I was a kid, I always had like bugs and creatures in my pocket. And so I was always interested in science and nature, and I was more into animals than people still to this day. So I'm still kind of weird in that sense, but just very sentient sort of. I was an empath from the time I was a child, and I didn't understand it, and nobody understood that at the time. And so I was just really, off in my own little world 90% of the time.
For the viewers, what is an empath?
Empath is somebody who feels whatever other people feel, whether you're connected to that person or you know that person or not. You feel what they're feeling. And so if they have a negative or an intense energy or they're upset or something, you feel upset and you feel what they're feeling, but you don't know why they're feeling what they're feeling because you don't know them. So as a child going through this in elementary school and middle school and things like that, and I was always seen as hyper emotional and hyper, just
They didn't know
triggery.
how to classify what it was.
There was no classification for that back. I don't think back then. I think there was an episode of Star Trek, classic Trek, that talked about an empath like it was something that was part of science fiction, but it was real.
Did you share that with your parents? Were you close to your parents?
My parents divorced when I was really young, really young, and so my mom just was trying to keep things together with three of us, and then my older brother then moved to live with my dad, who lived out of state, and so not much of a dad in the picture for the better part of growing up. And my mom was, like I said, working 3 jobs, just trying.
Where are you guys from? Where are you from originally?
Westerville, Ohio. I grew up in Westerville, Ohio. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So I only went to Florida to go to college. So I went to college and ended up staying there for 20 years.
What school in Florida did you go to?
USF.
Okay.
Got my undergraduate degree. I'd always wanted to be in music, even from when I was that awkward empathic kid, just feeling every musical genre that I was exposed to when I was a kid. I felt the music as much, and I think the empathy came through because a lot of the artists at the time were very empathetic. It was back in the day when you had to really be talented and really know your craft. And
was music a part of your household?
It was part of my life.
Okay.
Because that was really my outlet for feeling normal and not feeling awkward and isolated and like everybody treated me like I was crazy because for the most part on the outside I looked crazy. I acted it because I would just cry for no reason. I'd be angry for no reason.
Did you act that way because you start believing what people were telling you? Did you just take on that persona?
Maybe part of it, yeah. Towards the middle school, I started really kind of owning my own and kind of understanding more. Again, through music. Music saved me. Saved me from just falling into that pit where people would just label me as what did they? Label me tragic. Just she's or like I think the only similar label would be now dramatic. I was too dramatic, too extra.
When you say
I was a kid.
When you say saved you, that's a big broad.
Right.
Were you talking
It
like
gave me the
suicidal
perspective.
stuff or
Right. When I was a kid, I was like, what is the point of me? What is the point of me? I would go through periods of deep depression. And I think a lot of kids do. And nobody talks about it. In fact, I mean, when I was a teacher, we would try to get kids to talk about it because it's very prevalent in kids that age that are trying to, that sweet spot between, I want to say, 5th or 6th grade to 7th,
when you're really
8th,
trying
9th
to
grade.
find you're trying to get some acceptance.
Right.
You don't know what you want to be, but you just want to kind of fit in.
Yeah. And then if that is not in your capability because people have already decided you're a nut job, then what do you do with that? And so music saved me, literally.
Was your other siblings kind of like, I know, and
No, my other siblings wanted me dead.
Really?
They were two. I had an older brother and a twin brother who literally wanted me dead. I'm amazed that I survived my childhood because they would.
Your actions impacted the way they felt about you.
I think so. I think they were just boys and I was this hyper emotional little girl. They would do whatever they could to make me cry, shoot me with bottle rockets, tried to throw me out of a 2nd-story window or convince me to jump out of a 2nd-story window. And
did you jump?
No.
Okay.
No, the babysitter caught us just in time.
Okay.
But we also just mean, torturous things. But instead of the sister being mean to the brothers, which is typical now, oh my gosh, it was them against me, and I was always alone. Always alone. I had to be alone because I couldn't be with them. They would,
And your mom was working.
And my mom was working.
So there really was nothing
but
support
music.
group in music. What kind of music was you attracted to?
Oh, when I was a kid, I think the very first song that ever gutted me, that made me just gets in your DNA, was Air Supply.
Lost in Love?
No, not that one. It was.
Don't tell me. I like Air Supply.
Go ahead.
I'm all out of love.
Nope,
so
not that one.
That's not it. Here I Am. No, that's.
No. It was a big one. And
Just When I Thought I Was Over You?
No.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Talks about football. Remember? I'm trying to cue you. There's a little football tag in it.
Man, you got me. I was more into their love songs.
Every time I see you, all the rays in the sun, I'll screaming through the waves in your hair.
That was the one that got you?
That was the one that got me. Oh.
What was it about that song that got you? I know that song now.
Making love out of nothing at all. Have you ever been gotten by a song and not really understood why?
All the time.
Right. That song got me, and I think when it came out, it might have been 76 or 77, which is dating me right now. Shh. I was very young, so I didn't really understand the words that I was singing, but I understood the feeling behind it. And I feel like that was part of the empathy in me that was feeling the original artist Air Supply. There was something to that song, to them.
I remember that song, yeah.
And the emotion behind it carried over even in the recording. the professional recording that they released. And so I just remember it grabbing me. And then after that, it was, I remember Sandy Patty there. I had I had a Christian music era in my life where, that I listened to Sandy Patty. And then from about middle school on, it was Duran Duran. Duran Duran.
Which Duran Duran? The Reflex?
Yes.
Run Like the Wolf?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes.
All
I
of them?
think, okay, so Duran Duran made me want to sing. They
Really?
made me want to sing. They wanted me, because Duran Duran was the first, back in the early 80s when MTV was just doing music videos. Their music videos were insane.
Yeah, they a
They
lot
were
of creativity in
absolutely
there.
insane. And
videos.
just, you couldn't take your eyes off of them.
And you know what? You knew every song that they came out with. And you was
I had
Lonely Like
Duran
the
Duran
Wolf
wallpaper.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yes, I sing
Yeah.
3 of their songs as an
Really?
homage to them in my set, on my set list, just because they really were the ones who created me. Because back in the day, they made a tour video for Seven and the Ragged Tiger, and it was a whole video series that kind of, it was the first of all video documentaries, and now they're all over the place, but they were the first to do it. And I remember watching them. It was like a documentary of all of their Seven and the Ragged tour, a Ragged Tiger tour. And I just thought, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. That's me. That's my calling. That's what, and I'm like 12 years old, I think.
When did, not to cut you off on that part,
Right.
but something about your career happened, or did it happen before your hearing impairment? How did that come about?
Well, that was a little later.
Okay.
A little later, and it was partly genetic and partly an accident, where a diving accident.
Okay.
So that was, we're back to where the music started, and then, but this was obviously before I knew that there would be that struggle. I thought I was going to be a rock star from about 12 till about, I want to say, till 16, till I was 16. So from 12 years old to 16, I was going to be a rock star, and I was going to be just like Duran Duran and Madonna, and I was so into the music that I had a best friend at the time, and we were going to start a band, and then I blew out my eardrum doing a dive, and I never really gained the hearing back in that ear afterwards. And so from that point forward, it was more, it wasn't such an impairment that it would stop me from singing. What ended up stopping me was just life and everybody telling me no.
Seems like a lot of people, even if they wasn't telling you no, they wasn't encouraging.
No. Well, my dad actually sang at the Grand Ole Opry when he was 17 years old with his sister. So he had a potential career, but he wasn't,
What did
he was
your dad think
disillusioned
about
by it. I said, Dad, listen, I can sing. I went to both of my parents separately, of course, because they weren't together. But I said, listen, I can sing. And they were like, no. Keep your feet on the ground. Lots of people can sing. It's a horrible lifestyle. It's a horrible, nobody ever makes it. You have to do horrible things to make it in that industry, and don't do it. Just keep your, go to school. My dad told me to be an accountant. And I don't know if there's any of this that screams accountant.
You don't ever judge a book by the cover. That's my motto.
No, but I did. I went to school and I got an accounting degree, and I worked as an accountant for 2 years and hated it. I made good money, but I was a horrible person to be around because it wasn't me. So I ended up turning my back on it for several years. Of course, after I graduated high school and went on to college, I went and I got 3 business degrees and a master's in teaching, trying to do what everybody else told me to do, told me what was safer to do, because I didn't have, apparently at that time, I didn't have my own brain. And so I couldn't follow my own dreams at the time. I didn't have the confidence to do that. And then I just woke up one morning when I was 40 and said, no more. I've been following everybody else's plan and it hasn't worked.
So all the way up until 40
All
years
the way up
old,
to
you had
40.
this
I taught for
revelation.
20 years. I taught science for 20 years. Loved it. I mean, it was one of the other professions that I could do that didn't make me want to, jump off a cliff like accounting did. But at the time, through the course of those off years, I started to develop what was told to me was the same thing that Huey Lewis had, which was now I'm blanking on the name of it, distortional interference deafness, and it's genetic. So in combination with the hearing loss from the injury, it made hearing nearly impossible. In loud situations, I hear things that are not there. Not
Really?
Voices that are telling me to kill people, but, like whooshing and buzzing, and there's always several tones.
You're hearing
of
more like
tinnitus.
tone or vibrational frequency type things?
Yes.
Okay.
And it interferes with what I can hear. So a lot of times it makes the directionality of sound, I have no ability to tell where sounds are coming from. That's why you have two ears. So the fact that one is gone, everything sounds like it's coming over my head.
And it's probably amplified twice as.
Right.
Yeah.
With voices and people talking, it's great if I can see your face and read your lips. And I do remember struggling towards the latter years of my college. I had a professor. I never knew I had a problem until I had a professor that his beard grew over his mouth and I could not see his lips. I'm like, why am I having trouble hearing this guy? Why can't I understand this guy? And I'm like, and then I realized it was because also through COVID, I realized how bad my hearing was because everybody was masked and that
had to be a struggle.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad. But by then I knew that I had issues. And so then I went to the audiologist and they were like, there is nothing that can be done for that. It's
not even those cochlear implants.
Nope, nothing.
Really?
Nothing, because it's blood pressure related. There's a lot of factors that are related in how I hear what I hear. And so they say hearing impaired because you can hear, but you don't hear the way everybody else hears. And so I can hear. It's just I'd struggle with sounds, there's a whooshing sound that I'm not sure if it's from a fan. It sounds like a fan, but that's all I can hear. It's very predominant in this room, and lots of rooms have room tones that I can hear, and I shouldn't be able to hear them, but I do for some reason. And there's sometimes a very strong buzzing, like if you've ever blown a speaker, that's in my head a lot.
How do you, with finding out you have this, how do you stay on focus with with moving forward with your dream? You're still 40 years old.
Right.
So how do you keep moving forward?
Well, I started with acting. So I had given up on the music altogether because I knew that was, to me, that was an insurmountable mountain that I couldn't get past. And so the only other love that I had was acting at the time. And so I got into theater. I got into film and television in Florida. And it was only through a musical. I tried to get into musical theater, but I couldn't follow every audition ever for musical theater is always with an accompanist, a pianist. And so I tried and I epically failed so many times that it just gutted me. I was like, I'm never doing this again. Because I couldn't follow the piano. It's like when you play those notes, the notes play, but then they start to mix with each other, and then I get lost in all the sounds coming back. And so I just it's not something I can do. I always wanted to sing and loved to sing, and I knew I was good, but nobody would take the time to address my issue and then help me get through it. So everybody's like, no, you just can't do it. So I went into acting, and then I ended up getting this gig, this musical comedy gig, just because the actual TV portion of it died. So it was called the Wise Guy Kitchen. And there was a TV show that I was hired to play in. And then that completely fell apart, but there was a live show that the organizer of it said, hey, I'll have you in my live show. It'd be great. And initially it wasn't a musical. We needed more time. Mm-hmm. And so I said, hey, we talk about the Titanic movie. Why don't I sing the song? And they said, nobody can sing that song. No, don't even, no, it'd be terrible, because he sang one song. He was an Elvis impersonator. So he sang one song really, really well.
Right.
And that was the only song. I said, well, we could do another song, because I knew I could sing it because it was a track.
Right.
And tracks, I have this, I don't know how I do it or what mechanisms I'm using, but I know where I'm at. And even if the track disappears, I can sing the whole song just from, timing. Mm-hmm. And so it's played the same way every time. So I've memorized it. And I said, that would be easy. Karaoke, I was great. I could do karaoke all day, but you get tired of karaoke and nobody pays you for that. So that was all I had been doing at the time. So 3 months go by and they're still complaining that the show isn't long enough. It's not broad enough. There's something missing. And I said, I'm telling you, I could do that song. And they're like, "Yarr." And so finally, they've let me do it. They let me try, because I said, listen, I really can do this song. I think it would be a really neat, emotional element to the show, bring people to tears. And they're like, okay, try it. And so I sang the Titanic song, Celine Dion, because I learned how to sing Duran Duran taught me to want to sing. But Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, all the greats, I learned to sing by listening to them and mimicking them. Mm. And so, what's happening to Celine Dion and what happened to right now and what happened to Whitney Houston just gutted me, because they were the ones who taught me how to sing. And so I knew I could sing that song and I would kill it, but I just needed somebody to listen to me and believe me.
So when you sung it, then what happened?
They lost it. They were like, what? And so immediately we added that song. And then another actress that was playing my opposite me, who was kind of my nemesis, she's like, oh, yeah, I can sing this song. And then she sang her song. Pretty soon we had 5 songs added and we had the time. And we toured the country doing that thing with all the songs included, just playing. The songs were incorporated into the story, and then I ended up adding 3 songs in addition to that. I sang Whitney Houston, "I Will Always Love You" in that one too. So bringing them to tears. So it was a comedy / there were some dramatic elements to it, and that really got me back into singing and knowing that yes, not only can I sing, but I'm good. I just need a little extra help, and then. That show kind of, through money management and issues ended. And then I was upset and I was like, well, I'll just start my own business. I'll just start my own karaoke. And
is this where the one woman show, The Lack of Love Life, single, never married?
Yes.
Tour begins, I guess.
Well, when I was doing Wise Guy Kitchen, the creator of that allowed me to rewrite the script and then create, because it was the script as it was very choppy, and you didn't know why the characters were there, and you didn't really understand why you cared about them until I made those connections, because I was always a pretty good writer too. And so I rewrote the script, we added the music, and I kind of take credit for making it the off-Broadway style musical comedy that it was. And so then I thought, well, if he could do that from nothing, I can do something from nothing. And I remember they were asking me, if you've ever filled out some kind of online or even on paper a questionnaire, they ask what your status is. Is it single, married, divorced, single, never married. And I was like, yeah, never married, single, never married. So I was like, always single, never married, which is kind of a funny story in and of itself. And so after a few times, because I put myself through college with 3 babies. And so I had to fill out a lot of financial type things. And so it was always kind of weird that here I was, single, never married, but yet I had 3 kids. So, kind of puts a wrong, an easily twisted tint on something, but didn't matter. So I was forever hitting single, never married, single, never married. And then it just hit me when that show ended. I could make a show about my lack of love life, because I'm not single, never married for lack of trying. I tried. It didn't work out.
Right. You got 3 kids.
I got 3 kids. You definitely tried.
Right.
But it just didn't work out. And so each attempt then became a song that I would sing. Or like for my kid's father, who was abusive, that was coming from an abusive situation, and there's a range of songs where you go through when you're in the hole, and then when you're getting out of the hole, and then when you're free from it. Then it became this what do you call it, spectrum of songs. And so I created it based on the funny stories of, like, for example, my first love. I think I was in 4th grade or something, and I just loved Danny Steele because it made me laugh. And so there were 3 songs that were, about that. And so, and it's a funny story because my brother then throws a wrench in the deal, because he lies and says that, he tells a lie, and I'm an idiot. I believe it. So I go back because I'm trying to not make this a very long story or give away the punchline of the joke, but he ends up dying, Danny Steele, before I can make amends for not believing what we were supposed to get together. And then my brother lies and says, some dude paid him to say that. And I was like taken aback after years of following this kid around. And then I find out my brother lied. And so then I kind of try to go back to Danny Steele and make a apology for what I did, because he had no idea what was going on. Obviously, he didn't know my brother lied anything. So that was bad luck, just a streak of bad luck and really bad, brother behavior that ruined that relationship. But the songs tell the story through the lyrics. The lyrics are perfectly aligned to tell the story and everything.
So when you do the one woman show,
yes,
it's basically, and then it's a documentary of your life,
essentially, but it's got elements of humor. So it's like a stand-up comedy routine and it was very much modeled off of the Wise Guy Kitchen show, which was a combination of, there's this underlying story that is sometimes funny, sometimes serious. But for my show, the one I created, it was my life, sometimes tragic, sometimes funny, sometimes, serious, and sometimes just off the wall goofy. And it was like the audience goes through the range of emotions, and the music in the middle of it with just the lyrics of the songs fit so perfectly that you have to fall in love with the show.
What's the relationship now with your brothers and you? You're 40-some years old now.
Right. Well, my big brother died. He died of complications of obesity when I want to say 36 years old. So there was not much of a relationship there. My twin brother and I are still kind of, we are polar opposites. We could not be any more opposite from each other. And I think the last time we sat next to each other at Thanksgiving, they were like, that's the closest you two have been since the womb. So my brother lived in Russia for 26 years. He was a missionary in Russia, so he just was not here. So
looking back on your life and all the things that you've gone through, what have you learned? What have you learned from all this?
You want something done, you got to do it yourself. Everything I tried to do with my own life, even wasting the first 40 years of my life, I was trying to do what other people wanted me to do.
But is it really, we hear this all the time, and we hear people say, Jesus, man, I wasted, this and I wasted that. But is it truly wasting, or is it a learning curve?
Oh, you are so right about that, because I say this, it's funny that you said that. I tell people, yeah, I did waste 40 years of my life. I wonder, had I had the Taylor Swift type situation where she had two parents that were professionals and very good at what they do, and she surrounded herself early on, from the time she was 14 years old, with people that knew how to do what they were doing, and she knew what she wanted to do, and her parents recognized that. Had I had that situation, where could I have gone? I didn't. So, but what ties to what you say, I had the unique situation where, yes, I did listen. I got 3 business degrees and a master's in teaching. I got 20 years of teaching experience because I listened. And now, when trying to do this music, I can do everything myself. That I don't have to take jobs because I'm trying to pay the rent. Or I don't have to do things that I don't want to do, or that I don't have to compromise my own values and my own, the things that make me, because I'm broke. I mean, I have a background. I have degrees. I have other things that I've learned. And I also learned how to do everything, how to create a business from nothing, which I would never have learned that if I had gone in, and taken off to California when I was 18 years old, like most people do when they're trying to do stuff with absolutely nothing. I mean, who knows what would have happened, but it's opened up more doors for me having the background, and maybe coming into it with a more mature attitude instead of just, give me whatever you can give me, the handout, or waiting for handouts. I never have to wait for handouts. If I need to make a video, I learned how to make a video. If I need to make a phone call and advocate for myself with a venue to make sure that I get paid, I do that too. But I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not listened to at least my parents, who said, get an education before you do all that. So now I see it's not wasted. It wasn't wasted. Okay. I just still think back in my mind, if I'd had, what Taylor's, she's running the show right now. I mean, and she's always surrounded herself with people that support her and know what they're doing. And look what you can do when that happens.
Before we wrap up, you definitely have surrounded yourself and created an opportunity with not only the one woman show and the Lack of Love tour, that's kind of what it is, but you've also partnered up with a band.
Right. So through the course of all of this, I did end up starting. I kind of the one woman show kind of ran its course and got to the point where they just. The stories were great. It was fun, but it seemed like the music, people just wanted to hear me sing. And so I ended up kind of gravitating towards just the Third Fret Entertainment, turned into just the one woman show where I show up and I sing to tracks. And but through the course of a few events, I was approached by a band to say, hey, we'd really like you. We need a lead singer. And I was like, sure, great. But I told him I have issues. And all you have to do is just be patient with me. It's always been a dream to sing with a band. And but I still do the other stuff too. I still do the one woman show. I still do it. Now I do a duo show with a keyboardist. But I'd always wanted to sing with a band. And I went through 5 different bands. And I had given up entirely on bands, even, because it only takes one bad egg to ruin the whole bunch. And so it didn't have anything to do with me per se. It was a lot of ego and a lot of people fighting amongst themselves, and I'm just, can we just sing? Can we just play? And but 5 times I got this close and went out, and so I did end up with one band. Jamie Said So. They gave me my shot and worked with me, worked around my issues for the most part, and I sang with them for 2 years and got a really good feel for how to overcome the obstacle, which was my hearing. And they fizzled out as well. I think we lost one member, then another member, and so they fizzled out. And then I went and did my solo show at the Ohio Festival and Events Association conference last November. And I did my solo show and booked like 20 gigs right from the get-go. And one of the people that were the Asheville 4th of July guy, the organizer, came up and he said, "Man, if you were a band, I would headline you." And I was like, I know. And so a gentleman that I had met through Jamie Said So, he was our light and sound guy several times. He said, "I can get you a band. No problem. We can get you a band. I'm a keyboardist and sound engineer. You got me. I know a drummer. All we need to do is find a guitar player and a bass player, and we got a band." And so last November, we started putting Third Fret Band together. We still don't have a guitar player. We do have a bass player now, but we've managed to do most of the guitar stuff. We did the whole festival season without a guitar player because we went through 3 of them. And ego.
Well, today with technology, you can create a guitar.
Well, that's what Michael Blaha does. Rhythm of Andreas is his stage name, but he's the sound engineer. He can make any sound.
Yeah.
And so we ended up, we do all in-ear monitors, no wedges on stage, so I can hear. And that was the key. The key was just using the technology to where it helped me instead of there is nothing for me to overcome now with my own show and my own band because it's all in ear. And before, with the wedges on stage and everything blasting, it made it difficult. But now it's so easy. I mean, and I have to thank Michael with MJ Multimedia for showing me that it was possible to do that. And so now we hit this. The festival season this year was our first season. Our first performance ever as a group, as a band, was headlining the 4th of July, the Asheville 4th of July.
How does that make you feel?
Amazing. And we're bigger and better. We're already back in the studio getting ready to do more songs, and next year's going to be even bigger and better.
You know what? I really want to thank you so much for taking the time to come all the way from Ohio and share
this was fun. This was really fun.
Beautiful story.
So good to meet you.
Yeah. How can the viewers reach out to you guys and support your career and follow you?
We are all over social media. I have a website, tracyroese.com. My name is spelled a little awkwardly. It's Roese. Most people want to put the E in the first name, Tracey, but it's not. It's just Tracy with a Y and then Roese. Everything is under that brand. Of my name. So it's even the band shows are Tracy Roese and the Third Fret Band. So if you can just find me on Google Tracy Roese and you'll find me.
With such things in your life of overcoming and creating, because you had to do this, creating opportunities for yourself. Leave the viewers with something that keeps you going every day, because you've had your struggles, but you saw the light at the end of the rainbow too. Right.
Follow your heart. Follow. Don't waste the time that I did listening to other people telling you what you should do. If you already know what you should do, nine times out of 10, you already know the path you want to be on, and the only thing is finding people surrounding people like the Taylor Swift model. Find people that support you in that endeavor, and don't let anybody tell you no.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.
Thank you.